Brothers and sisters, aunties, uncles, and play cousins. What's good, family? And welcome into the house, my alumni. It's your boy, Professor Michael. Hey, check it out. Today we're going to go ahead and get into, I made the decision to jump into the chapters. I've been trying to decide what I was going to do next. I like the fact that through these last couple videos and things like that, I've gotten the opportunity to learn more about Ren. I like when we go through and do the music reactions and stuff like that. And trust me, I'm still getting to them. But I love the fact that prior to going deeper down the rabbit hole, I'm getting the opportunity to actually learn and understand Ren more. You know what I mean? So as I'm going into the rabbit hole, it gives me a whole new context too, because now my eyes are open to things that I wasn't aware of. I get you guys all the time in my chats giving me insight and telling me things that I didn't already know, but getting to experience it and learning it firsthand and then soaking it in and then moving forward into the songs. So I'm definitely going to do what some of the people described in the chat, when I went live the last time. Some people suggested going ahead and getting into the chapters, which I have decided to do. But they also suggested during the chapters to kind of break it up from time to time to do a music reaction. You know what I'm saying? Just to kind of give your brain a chance to reset before you move forward into some more. So I think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do the chapters like 2 at a time. So I might do, 1, and then do 2 tomorrow, and then do a couple of music reactions, then jump back into finishing the chapters. I'm still playing with that idea, but I think I may do that because from what I understand, the chapters are a pretty hard watch. And these are not on the Ren Makes Music channel. These are on the Ren Makes Stuff channel. So I'm thinking that this is a little deeper. And so mentally, I have to prepare for it. Emotionally, y'all know now, my alumni know that I get caught up sometimes. So I really have to prepare myself emotionally for these as well. So let's go ahead and get into it. Today we got chapter 1. So let's go ahead and get into it. Before I get started, y'all know the routine. Y'all know the housekeeping. Make sure you hit the like button. And if you're not already subscribed to Old Heads Media, I would love to have you hit subscribe, become part of the family. We are growing. I am loving it. I am thankful for it. And we would like to continue that trend. So, if you haven't already subscribed, take this as the opportunity to hit that subscribe notification or that subscribe button, and make sure you hit the notification bell too, so you can stay up on everything that we do over here. Also, for those of y'all that have asked me questions about, contributing to the channel and donating and things like that, as always, you can hit the thanks tab right below any of my videos, but also in the description box are all of the external ways to donate and contribute to Old Heads Media, so you feel free to use any of those links. If you do, it is greatly appreciated. But your presence is more than sufficient. So for those that have asked, thank you. I've also been asked if I have a PO box. I saw that when I went back in, and I'm sorry that I missed that question when we were live, but I did see it when I went back through the playback. So to let you know, I don't have a P.O. box yet. I am working to get that. It costs a little bit of money in the area that I'm in. So within the next couple of days, hopefully I will have that P.O. box, and I will be, putting that in the description from here on out as well, so that you guys can have that if needed. I appreciate all of you who have reached out to me in the email just to have conversations, and just to share your insight and how much you enjoy the channel. That means the whole world to me. Y'all have no idea how much your support and how much the personal interaction means to me. I want to thank all of you that, saw fit to contribute to the channel in our live chat the last time. I could go on and on and on and on for how much I'm thankful for you guys. Laser Child has helped me out with some graphics and things like that. So I know that y'all, can see the new Old Heads Media logo that's spinning up here, courtesy of Laser Child. I have some more graphics that are coming, but we're working to try to improve and build the channel as much as we possibly can so I can continue to give y'all some fire content and fire visuals as well. I want to make it worth it to y'all, so every day I'm thinking of new ways, and thankfully, Chow Young Smut conversations that I had with her most recently, just Kathy Ann, just to name, a couple, and more have contributed to me both mentally, financially, and just personal relationship. So we're just gonna continue to improve the channel, and I want to keep thanking y'all. I will tell you, as my sister usually says when she has been on here with me, she would always say share, and I want to encourage y'all to do that, as well as like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. If you know somebody personally that you haven't already told about Old Heads Media, please share the channel and spread the word. All right, let's go. Let's get into this today. Let me get my antennas ready. I always say I don't know what I'm getting into, but I've watched enough Ren now to know that not knowing what I'm getting into means I already know that I'm getting into something. So, all right, let's go.
Hello everyone, this is the first time I've done something like this before. I wanted to write it down because there's a lot and I didn't want to miss anything, and some parts of this might be a little bit uncomfortable to listen to, but I wanted to stay as true as possible to the story, not miss anything, for the sake of people who might be going through something similar, or for the sake of people who don't but want to help understand a little bit more. Yeah.
Pretty much the context of everything he ever does, though, to me, so that doesn't surprise me that I wanted to make this for those who might be going through something similar. It seems like everything that he does is for someone else. He's like, his music is selfless. Like, I know they're his thoughts and his emotions coming out, but he always makes music and makes things with the intent of the possibility of somebody else being able to derive some sort of energy or some sort of, help or assistance from something they may be going through because of it. That's one of the things that I admire so much about his craft, is he doesn't just sit down and write songs. He actually takes time to think about the way he says it, so that way he knows that can be interpreted by someone else in a way that helps them.
I promise that everything in this story is 100% true. Nothing is exaggerated for dramatic effect. Some names I don't mention, and some details I don't go too far into or downplay them for the sake of the people around me. Timelines might occasionally be a little bit off, but that's just because I've had to write everything from memory from a time that was quite hazy. I asked before embarking on this journey with me that you all respect the privacy of myself and the people around me. You might be compelled to reach out to some of the people that I mention, cast judgment, praise them, criticize them, and I ask you kindly not to. It's my choice to be in the public eye, and it's mine alone. This is the first time my story is on the public record in a concise way. Being in the public eye is strange. The more that I give to you, the less that I get to keep for myself. I don't find the experience of sharing particularly enjoyable. I don't so much like the questions that follow. And I'm not a medical expert, so I don't like to be seen as somebody with all the answers, because I don't have them. And because of the empathy that I feel, I'm compelled to try and help as many people as possible. But the last time I opened myself up to this on a one-on-one basis, I was surrounded by a lot of death. And there simply weren't enough hours in the day. So I ask you, if you need support, please reach out to a professional or use my music as your companion.
Man, that is responsible. That is thoughtful and responsible, but that was an emotional bar that kind of hit me already early in the video when he said, the more that I give to you, the less I get to keep for myself. Bruh, you don't even think about stuff like that. You don't even think about stuff like that. But that was so responsible for you to say that I'm not a medical professional, this, that, and the other. So, if you need help, make sure that you reach out to, bro, that's, hey, much props for that.
I share my story in hopes that somebody who needs it finds it, that it provides hope, that it might ease the suffering for the people like me. I like my solitude, so I ask that anyone who respects the work I make and respects my contribution to the world to respect my solitude.
Yeah.
A lot happened in my teenage years, and I didn't live the most normal of lives, but I'll save that story for another time. The important thing to contextualize this story is that I was full of life. I was full of a burning desire to change the world. The flaws in how we interact seemed obvious to me. I believed in people's power to change the unnecessary suffering we inflict upon ourselves. I was also enamored with music. Music is the closest thing to God that I have. It's a gateway to the unexplainable, and it's a way of communicating the inexpressible.
Music is the closest thing to God that I have. Bruh.
There's just one moment I want to share with you from the years before I got sick. I was 17 and I felt indestructible. I'm not sure why, but my whole life I had this feeling inside myself that I was meant to do something important, not for myself, not for praise, not for personal gain, but something that would change the world for the better. It's hard to describe it without coming across like an egomaniac or having some sort of God complex, but I felt like I had some sort of divine purpose.
You see, you know how difficult that. I mean, I got to give props to just that. Being as young as he was, and just knowing that in my heart, I feel like I was destined for something, greater than myself. That began the selfless journey through life. Even possibly as he got sick, was the foundation of the strength that he had, was knowing that, I don't have the right to quit, because it was instilled in me earlier that there's something that I'm supposed to do bigger than me. So me quitting on this, or me quitting on myself, is quitting on that. And I don't have the right to do that. Bro, I don't. Ren sometimes in his music, but even listening to him talk and the way that his brain processes the world and situations and things like that, it ignites a fire in your own brain to start, sometimes the way that I do, overanalyzing things, to start really thinking about life. And bruh,
myself that I was meant to do something important, not for myself, not for praise, not for personal gain, but something that would change the world for the better. It's hard to describe it without coming across like an egomaniac or having some sort of God complex, but I felt like I had some sort of divine purpose. And I remember feeling this so strongly that one afternoon after school, I stood in the center of my bedroom and I spoke loud into an empty void. I said that I would single-handedly take on and defeat the forces of evil, and I...
Wait. Now I get it. I get what y'all was in my head when I did the reaction to High Ren. And at the end of the video, when he came up and he did kind of like his little poetic moment when he said, screaming in the, in the middle of an empty room and blah, blah, blah. And I made my comments on there, which I still believe were somewhat correct. But then you guys pointed out the fact that this is something that he actually did. And now I'm hearing it. Bruh, that I would somehow defeat the forces of evil. Bro, that was a mind-blown moment for me, because it goes back to what the High Rent makes sense.
I remember feeling this so strongly that one afternoon after school, I stood in the center of my bedroom and I spoke loud into an empty void. I said that I would single-handedly take on and defeat the forces of evil, and I welcomed them to try their best. Throughout the years, that memory stuck with me, taunting me sometimes. Flash forward to 2019. I remember the first day I knew something was wrong very well. I woke up in an unfamiliar room in Cardiff, feeling like a raven had perched itself upon my heart. Every time my heart beat, it's like some part of me was aware of the foreboding death sentence that was to come. Some sort of primal instinctive dread. Everything felt wrong, and I felt prosthetic, like I could tear my own skin off and observe, though I was watching passively from another room. The night before, I'd been in Cardiff visiting friends in university. It was the end of summer, we'd gone out to a few bars. I wasn't really enjoying myself. That year I'd been struggling with social anxiety, perhaps from years of abusing my brain with a whole pick and mix and selection of party drugs. Engaging with society felt like stepping into the ring with a heavyweight champion. Every single fucking question felt like an oncoming haymaker I had to socially navigate because of my very limited toolkit of charisma at the time. I don't know why I cared about being liked so much, but the more I cared, the less equipped I became to have a simple human conversation. I used to deal with this by getting fucking hammered. That night was no exception. I got smashed, lost my phone, and woke up in a strange apartment. In the bed opposite mine was a snoring rugby player and his girlfriend. Everything just seemed off, and it wasn't a hangover. My first thought was I'd been spiked. I quietly gathered all my belongings and left before anyone could wake up and punch me with a conversation. I wondered...
The way that he chooses words. He said every question was like a haymaker. And then he said he just got up and left before anybody woke up and punched me with a conversation. Going back to the haymaker. Like even when he's talking, his words are so poetic. Bruh.
Just seemed off, and it wasn't a hangover. My first thought was I'd been spiked. I quietly gathered all my belongings and left before anyone could wake up and punch me with a conversation. I wandered around the grey Cardiff in the haze feeling like I've just been rigged up to an IV bag full of ketamine and cyanide, and the whole world just seemed off, like I was looking at it through a tunnel. A heavy feeling of fear clung around me like a straitjacket. The only comforting thought was that with enough time, rest and water, it would pass. But it didn't. For 8 long years it didn't. And this is my story of an 8-year-long nightmare.
Wow.
I returned back to my dad's home. He was living with his partner at the time. It wasn't my home, so I already felt uncomfortable and out of place. These unusual symptoms persisted. I figured I'd caught some sort of virus and I'd get better with time. But by the end of the week, things were a lot worse. I took myself to the doctor and he said he thought it sounded viral, that if I went home and got enough rest, it would eventually pass. And it didn't. For 8 years, it didn't.
So many people hear that so often. Hey, doc, I feel like this. Hey, I'm in here in the emergency room because of this, because of this. Oh, hey, we can't find anything wrong with you. Here's go take some ibuprofen or some Tylenol or something like that and go home and just drink plenty of fluids and get some rest. You know how many people have heard that? Not let's investigate more because I can't explain these symptoms and you're obviously having them, so we need to figure out why. Go get some rest.
I returned for my second year of university. My brain was full of fog and my body felt poisoned. There were intermittent days where I felt like a hollow suit of skin. I'd sit in lectures unable to focus and was devoid of any sort of personality. I'd be able to have basic conversations, yeses and nos, but I was stripped of the ability to think spontaneously. It's like my body was taking up so much processing power being sick that I could not have original or spontaneous thought. The most peculiar thing about this was there was a me that was aware that this was all happening and was observing it from outside of myself, locked out, screaming silently, banging on the walls of my mind to be let in, and never successfully. And nonetheless, there I was, like a ghost haunting myself. My usual routine was getting home, running a shower and curling up into a ball to cry underneath the running water, not understanding what was going on. I brought myself to the doctors numerous times during this period, requesting every blood test they'd let me have, often being dismissed and told things like stress from university can cause strange symptoms. But how come no one I knew in university could relate to this? Eventually I was put on a 6-month-long waiting list to see a mental health specialist who did a short 1-page questionnaire and wrongly diagnosed me as hypercycling bipolar and put me on a course of citalopram. After a few weeks it stole my ability to sleep. I was told to stick it out and it would level out and eventually I'd feel more like myself. I stuck it out and I got worse, and I pulled myself off it after 2 weeks in a row of sleepless nights and insomnia.
Yo.
There's something pretty peculiar about being told you're in some sort of spectrum of madness. Even if you suspect that you're mad, your diagnosis finds a way to claw itself into your identity even if it doesn't belong to you. Ever since I was a child, I'd always be asking what and why and how things worked. I couldn't...
Yo, wait a minute. That hit home too. That is so factual. They tell you you're crazy long enough, you start to believe that you're crazy, even if you're not crazy. It's kind of like we hear that even in like children, you know, in the way that they develop and in the way that they grow up. And people always say, you know, if you tell If you tell this to a child enough, or if you say this to a child, and they say that sometimes even you say to yourself, like I've heard many times people say your brain doesn't know the difference, which is why you shouldn't say negative things about yourself, because your brain doesn't know the difference between truth and false. You know what I'm saying? So if you continue to say negative things about yourself, your brain will begin to process those things as fact. And it will start to carry itself. It will start to send signals to your body, and you'll start to develop symptoms and characteristics of this thing because your brain is convinced that this is real. And he's saying, you know what it feels like to have people tell you that something's wrong with you, to the point to where you start to believe something's wrong with you, and then it starts triggering behaviors that emulate something being wrong with you, even when there's nothing wrong with you. Bruh, that's real. That's real.
That you're mad. Your diagnosis finds a way to claw itself into your identity even if it doesn't belong to you. Ever since I was a child, I'd always be asking what and why and how things worked. I couldn't really accept things as they were without knowing how. I carried into my adult years, and so as the bipolar hammer crashed and sentenced itself into my reality, I began searching online for behaviours associated with it, people's first-hand experiences, what it felt like to be manic. In these earlier days of my illness, the symptoms would fluctuate in severity day by day. Some days I'd be in the thick, tired fog, and other days they'd be more merciful. I began to associate the days of not suffering as mania, and would act more erratically on the days that my symptoms were less bothersome. I did things like climbing out of windows of a 6-story student accommodation, or get so drunk I'd wake up outside of the university campus lawn.
Oh, wow.
But it wasn't mania. I just wasn't hurting.
And he said that the everything in this is 100% true. So he really climbed outside a 6-story window, bruh. He said it wasn't mania. I just wasn't hurting. These were days that I actually felt normal, and I wanted to live a little bit on those days.
I spent one day a week with my therapist, who was teaching me cognitive behavioral therapy. The issue was, mentally reframing unexplainable symptoms caused a lot of cognitive dissonance for me. I was told my anxiety or depression was causing my symptoms, but in reality it was my symptoms which were making me anxious and depressed.
My anxiety and depression were causing my symptoms, but it was my symptoms that were causing me to be depressed. Bro, he talked about that a couple times, and I've even alluded to that in my analysis of some of his songs. It's like, it pissed me off, like even in that, was it the Dr. Myers thing that we watched? But anyway, I'll keep going.
Depression was causing my symptoms, but in reality it was my symptoms which were making me anxious and depressed. So I was in some sort of inescapable bind. I'd devotedly work on my mental health, following every new tool for coping to the letter, only to have my symptoms get worse, which made me frustrated, raise the intensity of my treatment, only to get even more frustrated as my body seemed to deteriorate. After 6 months, I told my mum I'd happily saw off my own leg with a blunt knife if it meant my symptoms would vanish, and I meant it. I told her if I had to live with this strange feeling for one more year, I'd kill myself. And I meant that too. But something happened that winter which showed me firsthand the horrors and the fallout from suicide. I met Joe when I was 9 years old. I remember the first time clearly. I was standing in his living room when he turned to me and he was like, "Watch this." Then he proceeded to climb on top of his sofa and did a front flip onto a stone living room floor. He landed on his back and lay motionless for a few seconds before grinning, getting up, and then doing it all over again.
I've done that before. I've done a flip and missed and landed on my back. When I tell you the wind that shit knocks out of you, bruh.
We grew up terrorising the streets of the small village we grew up in, playing knock door run or breaking into people's gardens to play on their trampolines. We stayed friends.
Wait a minute. Wait.
Getting up and then doing it all over again. We grew up terrorising the streets of the small village we grew up in, playing knock door run or breaking into people's gardens to play.
Playing knock door run. I get it now. Knock door run. Over here we call that ding dong ditch. You go ring somebody's doorbell or knock on their door and take off running before they can answer the door. Knock door run. I like hearing some of this stuff sometimes because I get to hear different dialogues and the way different things are described and different names for things. That was kind of cool, actually.
few seconds before grinning, getting up, and then doing it all over again. We grew up terrorising the streets of the small village we grew up in, playing knock door run or breaking into people's gardens to play on their trampolines. We stayed friends throughout high school, going through various phases together. Joe was comedian of the group. I remember countless mornings after messy all-nighters, Joe would be cracking endless jokes like a professional stand-up routine, and we'd all be in tears laughing. When I started writing my first songs, Joe and Sega were the first people who always knew every word, and they would sing along at the top of their lungs. They gave me a lot of self-belief, and they helped me build the foundation of what I do today, and I owe them a lot for that. That Christmas, I came back home to Wales from university. On Christmas Eve, me and Joe were sat in a pub, and he turned to me, and he told me that he'd fantasized about walking into the sea until he was totally submerged. He had a pretty morbid sense of humour, so I didn't really take him as seriously as I should have. 2 days later, it's 3 a.m, and I get a phone call. It's my friend Ella. She tells me that Joe is on the bridge by my house. He was drunk, he'd called her up, and he told her he was going to jump. I was still half asleep. I fumbled, pulling on whatever clothes I could that were near, and I walked out of the front door, and the winter air stung my face, and it woke me up. Adrenaline kicked in, and I started sprinting towards the bridge. It was about a 5-minute walk, a 2.5-minute sprint. As I was running, I dialed Joe's number, and I get a busy tone, and I felt relief because it meant he was still alive. I kept hitting redial as I ran, and as I got about halfway to the bridge, the busy tone changes. I get an automated voice note saying the number's out of service, and my heart sunk. I got to the suspension bridge that connects Anglesey to the mainland, and it usually looks very beautiful. I sprint up and down the bridge yelling Joe's name, and silence, and it's deafening. And I peer over the bridge into the blackness, and the bridge sits about 100 feet above the water. Hitting cold water at that height is like smashing into concrete, and the waters are notoriously dangerous because of the cross current. I hear nothing, no sounds, nothing. I run up and down the bridge about 2 times before I spot a figure at the end of it, and my heart jumps into my throat, and I run towards the figure, and it's my friend Ricky who's had the same call, and we both run around up and down the bridge and around the surrounding area looking for Joe. More of his friends eventually arrive, and there's nothing.
Yo, I should have known. I knew he was gonna do it to me. That's some hard shit. Think 2.5-minute sprint. He said I began sprinting towards the bridge. 2.5-minute sprint. I'm calling. I keep getting a busy tone. So it goes from busy to out of service in 2.5 minutes. Time is so fleeting, man. And I imagine that 2.5 minutes felt like forever, but it was 2.5 minutes. Bruh.
I was about a minute too late. We spent the next week walking up and down beaches with flashlights, and when it's that dark, every other large rock starts to look like a washed up body. We plastered all the neighbouring towns in missing posters, contacting whoever we could, someone who might know something. We checked bank records to see if any money had been withdrawn since he went missing. There was CCTV footage of him walking onto the bridge, but there wasn't any of him coming off. But there were dead zones in the footage, so there was still a small chance he could be alive. I was sleeping about 3 hours a night, pretty determined that we'd still find him. For about 10 days we had nothing, and then suddenly a call comes through while we're all at my friend Miles's house having food. It's the police. A body had been found in the water by the bridge. We piled into my friend's car. I remember being in the back seat in floods of tears, repetitively punching the back of the passenger seat as we drove to the scene. As we pull up, I saw a lifeless body being zipped up into a green bag near a parked ambulance. Its skin was bloated by the seawater, and it wasn't Joe. Someone else decided to jump that day. Joe was never found. It's difficult to truly let go when you can't say goodbye. For months following, I held on to this fantasy that we'd get a call that he'd run away to some European town and he was happy and he was healthy. But that call never came. The time during his inquest was also around the time I was struggling with the side effects of a new antidepressant. I remember sitting in the courtroom feeling like I was listening to the whole thing deep underwater. The judge felt the circumstances surrounding Joe's death didn't mean The judge felt that the circumstances surrounding Joe's death meant that the verdict was left open. It kind of stung even more to not have an official ruling of suicide. I remember going to visit his mum not long after and witnessing the aftermath of a mother grieving for her baby boy. The silence of his father, the tears of his mother. I decided that day that I'd have to wait until my illness killed me because I couldn't do it by choice. I couldn't put my family through that.
Yo. That line touched me a little bit because in some of the trials and tribulations that I've had in my lifetime, um, a transparent moment, I also encountered that moment in my thought process and my decision making, and why I'm still here doing Old Heads Media to this day. Um, it wasn't recent, it was many years ago, but I understood that line more than you even know.
Over the next 10 years, I returned to my hometown, only a handful of times following Joe's death. My last visit was in the summer of last year. I reconnected with Joe's parents and showed them a song that I'd written, simply entitled For Joe.
Wait, did he say wait a minute, I want to make sure I heard that right. Did he say he left after that and hadn't been back?
Put my family through that. Over the next 10 years, I returned to my hometown, only a handful of times following Joe's death.
Oh, so he's saying over the next 10 years, he's only gone back a few times. So is that moment, let me let him talk. I was going to say, was that moment part of the reason why he chose to leave where he is from? But let's go ahead, Ren. I'm sorry for interrupting you, my friend.
Next 10 years, I returned to my hometown, only a handful of times following Joe's death. My last visit was in the summer of last year. I reconnected with Joe's parents and showed them a song that I'd written, simply entitled For Joe. We cried together, reminisced together, joked, and I'm proud to say that I gave Joe's mum enough money to afford a caravan she told me she'd been saving up for. I felt pretty good. We'd also do a fundraiser for the Royal National Lifeboat Institution, who were integral for searching for Joe during that time, and we raised a pretty good amount of money too. Being able to give back in whatever small way I could felt good, and it felt right for all the years Joe had made us all laugh till it hurt. He was a solid person, just a little lost, as we all are sometimes. And I miss him. Life was about to take an even more unusual turn, and I was about to meet the first angel of this story. So stay tuned for that.
Yo. That was tough, man. That was tough. He said the story was 100% true, and these are his words and his thoughts precisely. All I can say about his thoughts is that even his words, even his writing for speaking and telling the story were poetic. It was poetic. The words that he chose to describe it and to help you connect to that thought, even that part was poetic. But I'm not adding any analysis or anything on to anything that he just said. That's his story to tell. It's not mine to put my own thoughts on. So I'll let it keep playing. Oh, okay. So this is the song for Joe, the one that he played for his mother.
For that.
Y'all did tell me that watching these chapters that there's a song at the end of each one of them. So I guess I got to kind of psych my mind out to be ready for there to be a song. And I don't know if I'm in the mood right now after hearing that story to do any breakdowns. But I got to do my job. Let's go. Did that signify? Hold on, I want to hear that again. Was that a symbol of like maybe that could have been just a double in itself in the breathing, him running, but more that sounds like maybe that was a vision of Joe's breath, like when he's getting other courage to kind of like when you get ready to do something where you're like, and you get up the courage, and then you like, and then you do it. I don't know what that. I wanted to hear what that breath. I wanted to really pay attention to that breath. Now I'm gonna let the song play. I love when he does that voice. Yeah, it's that's so melodic, so beautiful.
It's hard to take off from the ground when your wings are cut. Your stomach burns when you're drinking from an empty cup. You know the entire ocean came from my tear ducts. I see the world through Fibonacci sequences and double Dutch. I guess there's some that's born lucky, there's some that's not. I tried to cut away my bitterness, hatchet job. I locked my youth inside the trunk, inside the pickup truck, then dumped that whole thing over that same bridge the night you jumped. I think about that sometimes, vividly. What it felt like to look down and see tranquility. One sudden movement in a world of possibility. Only one movement to expose our fragility. I fucking miss you, and I miss myself. I miss thinking we were indestructible as hell. I miss chilling by the pier cave and kicking back with Callum, Hugo, Justin, Sega, Stevie and the fucking lads. I miss missing that. I numb myself to close the gap. I never even call them up. Distance is my plaster cast, to tell the truth. The day you jumped, my childhood jumped too. But I still can't find the angle. All I find is missing you, man, I miss you. With all my rhymes, I picture running 5 minutes quicker, I'm right on time. I picture pulling you back over the edge and then we're crying. And holding you, my brother, and telling you that it's fine. Not the way that it worked, I was late like a jerk. There's not a day where I can find a way to break from the hurt. Your body missing, so we never got to wave to the hearse. I hope you're listening, I love you, man, I miss you, absurd, fuck.
Now, man, I'm gonna go back, y'all, because I don't know if there's any other parts to that verse. There's still a little bit left in the video, so I imagine that there is. But while there's a break right there, that's painful to listen to, man. That's painful to listen to. But even in doing that, I caught a couple of really poetic, descriptive lines that he put in there. Why do I feel bad for actually listening to the words and getting ready to break down the bars of a song like this? Makes me feel like, bro, you shouldn't be doing this. It's hard to take off from the ground when your wings are cut. Your stomach burns when you're drinking from an empty cup. You know the entire ocean came from my tear ducts. I see the world through Fibonacci sequences and double Dutch. You know the whole world, you know the whole entire ocean came from our tear ducts, from crying. Like mankind, like there's been enough crying to fill up an entire ocean. Bruh, and then he said, I see the world through Fibonacci sequences and double Dutch. That's a really, I don't even know how to describe that the way that I see it. Fibonacci sequences and double Dutch. It's like a chaotic pattern. You know, I see the world through, Like there's a pattern of chaos. How do I say that in a way? Because like Fibonacci sequences is all about patterns. It's a mathematical pattern. But also the double dutching is trying to find trying to find an opening in the pattern. Kind of like, because when you double dutch, you got the two ropes, you know what I'm saying, flipping, and you got to try to time it just right so that you can get into the chaos. I don't know if I'm describing that just right, but it's what I feel when he says that. I see the whole world through a pattern of chaos, is what I'm seeing in my head. I feel like I got to do you so much justice if I'm going to say anything about your lines here. So I hope that that's at least as accurate as I can describe it.
Entire ocean came from my tear ducts. I see the world through Fibonacci sequences and double dutch. I guess there's some that's born lucky, there's some that's not. I tried to cut away my bitterness. Hatchet job. I locked my youth inside the trunk, inside the pickup truck, then dumped that whole thing over that same bridge the night you jumped.
I lock my youth inside a trunk. That could actually be physical and metaphorical. You know what I'm saying? But it also serves as a double in there. I lock my youth inside a trunk. He's saying that, all you know how you put, you have like that hope chest that people take memories of their youth and stuff like that, photographs, writings, all that kind of stuff, and they put it into a safe, a trunk, you know what I'm saying, and lock it away. So that you'll have something for later. But he's saying when I lost you, like I lost part of my youth. Like I put my youth inside a trunk, inside a pickup truck, which means I took all of my stuff, that reminded me of you or reminded me of our childhood, and I put it inside that trunk. And he said I put it in a pickup truck. And I took it to the bridge and I dumped it over the bridge. All that stuff, I dumped it over the bridge. Could have been physical, an actual literal meaning, but the metaphorical meaning is the double. I locked my youth inside a trunk, inside a pickup truck. The irony is that a truck doesn't have a trunk. A pickup truck doesn't have a trunk. Inside a trunk, inside a pickup truck. You know what I'm saying? Trunk, truck, but a truck doesn't have a trunk, and then goes into dump truck. You know what I'm saying? So all of those were word plays on the truck, but it's kind of an emotional state. Like mentally, you were part of who I am through my youth. And when you went over the bridge, so did my youth. Like in that moment, I grew up. I had to grow up immediately. In that moment, all my youth was gone. I wasn't a kid anymore. Again, I'm getting these thoughts, but he's got me so discombobulated with this story that I don't know if I'm actually sharing them correctly so that they make sense. But I want to tell you that at least, I hear it, but sharing emotional stuff like this gets difficult because I'm emotional while I'm trying to share it. So even as I'm telling you or trying to describe to you what he's saying, I'm having thoughts of my own at the same time. So then trying to explain to you what I was originally thinking, all while my mind is also kind of playing my own life in reverse, it's kind of difficult.
It's not. I tried to cut away my bitterness. Hatchet job. I locked my youth inside the trunk, inside the pickup truck, then dumped that whole thing over that same bridge the night you jumped. I think about that sometimes, vividly. What it felt like to look down and see tranquility. One sudden movement in a world of possibility. Only one movement to expose our fragility.
Only one movement to expose our fragility. Only one movement. That one jump to expose how easy it is for someone to hit a breaking point. All of us are just this far, we all like, I would never. That ain't me. I would never. You know what I'm saying? But all of us are one moment from a decision that you can't come back from. Only one movement to expose how easy it is for us to hit that breaking point. And why no one should ever say never.
I fucking miss you, and I miss myself. I miss thinking we were indestructible as hell.
So he just proved my point with the other one. I'm sorry. I didn't even catch that the first time because I was so immersed. But he said, I fucking miss you and I miss myself. So he's, again, back to the throwing the trunk and you dumping it over the bridge. He's saying, when I lost you, I lost part of me. So I miss you and I miss myself because part of you being gone took part of me with it.
Possibility, only one movement to expose our fragility. I fucking miss you, and I miss myself. I miss thinking we were indestructible as hell. I miss chilling by the pier cave and kicking back with Callum, Hugo, Justin, Sega, Stevie and the fucking lads. I miss missing that. I numb myself to close the gap.
I miss missing that. That's bars.
Indestructible as hell. I miss chilling by the pier cave and kicking back with Callum, Hugo, Justin, Sega, Stevie and the fucking lads. I miss missing that. I numb myself to close the gap. I never even call them up. Distance is my plaster cast to tell the
That whole line right there was a double too. It's how do you take something so emotional and put the metaphors in there to make it visual? You know what I'm saying? Is some of the amazing stuff that I say Ren is so great at, because he says, I miss missing you, blah, blah, blah. I miss myself, goes into all the people that they used to hang out with, this, that, and the other. And then he said, I distance myself. I distance myself from all of that. I want to catch the words one more time because there was more in there.
And kicking back with Callum, Hugo, Justin, Sega, Stevie and the fucking lads. I miss missing that. I numb myself to close the gap. I
miss missing that.
Never even call them up. I miss chilling by the pier cave and kicking back with Callum, Hugo, Justin, Sega, Stevie and the fucking lads. I miss missing that. I numb myself to close the gap. I never even call them up. Distance is my plaster cast.
So that's what I'm talking about. All of it that's the visual part. I miss missing that. I numb myself to close the gap. We're going into a medical scheme now. In that next couple bars, we're going into a medical scheme. I numb myself to close the gap, right? The distance is my plaster cast. This is him saying I'm broken, is what he's saying right there. And then he's describing it in a visual, metaphorical way. He's saying, this broke me. This broke me. I miss missing that. I numb myself to close the gap. Well, what do they do when you break something? We'll use your arm or your wrist, for example. When you break something, they have to numb the area that's broken so that they can fix it. So I numb myself to close the gap. I numb myself to try to fix the brokenness, right? And then he says, I never even call them up. Distance is my plaster cast. So you have to numb it. You have to fix the break, close the gap, right? And then you have to put a cast on it so that it'll heal. So that whole thing was a medical scheme for him, medical, metaphorical entendre for him to say, that broke me. I numb myself to close the gap. I never even call these guys up anymore. Distance is my plaster cast. Distance is the way that I try to heal the broken part of me. Bruh. I don't know how you get so poetic and so metaphorical when you're talking about a topic like this, but I think this is innately who Ren is. He can't fully describe a thing or an emotion or a feeling without creating it in a visual way, so you can see what he's seeing and what he's feeling at that moment. That was bars.
I numb myself to close the gap. I never even call them up. Distance is my plaster cast to tell the truth. The day you jumped, my childhood jumped too, but I still can't find the angle. All I find is missing you, man.
It goes back to the dump truck, to the dumping the trunk out of the truck. You know what I'm saying? But he's saying the day you jumped, my childhood jumped too. That's kind of what I described when I was talking about that.
The day you jumped, my childhood jumped too, but I still can't find the angle. All I find is missing you, man, I miss you. with all my rhymes. I picture running 5 minutes quicker, I'm right on time. I picture pulling you back over the edge and then we're crying, and holding you, my brother, and telling you that it's fine, not the way that it worked. I was late like a jerk. There's not a day where I can find a way to break from the hurt. You body.
And that's usually something that happens during tragedy and stuff like that too, is people often try to find ways to blame themselves. They don't find ways to blame themselves, not like they do it intentionally on purpose. It's like subconsciously, the emotional part of you, your mind says, what could I have done? You know what I mean? He said 5 minutes quicker, but he said he only lived 5 minutes away from the bridge in the first place. So what he's saying essentially is, why couldn't I have been there with you the whole time? Why couldn't I have been there to talk you out of it? 5 minutes quicker meant he would have already been there with him. So that's what he's saying. Like, why couldn't I be there with you? And maybe this wouldn't have happened. He's not saying, why couldn't I have got there quicker? Literally, he's saying, why couldn't I have just been with you in that moment? Because he said he got there in 2.5 minutes. And he only lived 5 minutes away. So you can kind of put two and two together, and you know he's not literally saying, why couldn't I have got there 5 minutes quicker? He's saying, why couldn't I have been with you? You know what I'm saying? But then they try to find ways to blame themselves, because he says, like a jerk, like, I'm mad at myself for not having been with you that night, is what that's saying.
Edge and then we're crying, and holding you, my brother, and telling you that it's fine, not the way that it worked. I was late like a jerk. There's not a day where I can find a way to break from the hurt. Your body missing, so we never got to wave to the hearse. I hope you're listening. I love you, man. I miss you, absurd. Fuck.
I can't imagine that either. You know, you hear stories about that all the time, to where a body or somebody came up missing and they've never been found. Being the party that has to deal with that, in this case, Ren, his friends, his parents, having to deal with, you kind of know, but not being able to have any closure. I never got a chance to have a funeral, never got a chance to say goodbye, never got a chance to do any of that. You're just out there somewhere. And bro, that's got to be to add on to the loss, you have to add on to the fact that they're like really lost. Like I like, we don't even know what happened to them. We don't know if they washed up somewhere. We don't know. Like, we don't know. Not having any resolve on the situation, that is probably that's gotta be hard.
Another domino, it falls. Across the way another's born. How you're supposed to raise a child and give it courage from a storm. In a world that is confusing, contradictions pave our flaws. Some will say we're only human, others judge us for our flaws. Some get born in sheets of satin, some get by in tattered clothes. Some will die before they live, that's just how the story goes. But for those of us still with us, who reside inside our hearts, tell them proudly how you feel. And for those of us who aren't, freckled angels stand strong, freckled angels live on, freckled angels climb higher, freckled angels still inspire, freckled angels won't forget you, teach me to live my life better. 13 years and still I miss you, now my wings are missing feather. Otherwise I'd come and join you, but for now I'm here on earth, stuck inside this mortal body. But for everything it's worth, made me braver, made me wiser, made me stronger, made me true, made me face the world with courage, and that's all because of you. Freckled angels laugh the hardest, and their hearts, they are the largest. With their wings they fly the farthest, so I know you're gonna be okay. Freckled angels live the longest, And their minds, they are the strongest. Oh, their friends, they are the fondest. So I know you're gonna be okay.
I know that was hard. That was hard. Um,
Actions pave our floors. Switch from
we'll go back to this. You know, I was listening to it, and that whole, I got to catch the Freckled Angel part again because each line had several bars in there, and I think I maybe misheard a couple of them, so I didn't want to comment on those until listening to them again. But that whole verse right there, what I'm hearing, yeah, there was individual lines in there that had individual meaning, but to me, that entire verse encapsulated the bar back at the beginning when he says, I see the world through Fibonacci sequences and double Dutch. Because that's basically what he was describing. The pattern of how the world works, the yin, the yang. You have the good, you have the bad. And somehow you have to try to you got to try to find your place. And like that whole verse basically described that one bar. Domino falls, child born. I've heard that my whole life. You know, whenever someone passes away, there's a child born somewhere else. Yeah, I've heard all that stuff my whole life. And that's basically the yin and the yang of life. And then he said, that's the pattern, the Fibonacci sequence. The pattern of life is you have the good, the bad. This happens and that happens. This happens, that happens. That's the double Dutch. You got to try to time it and find you a space to get in there. Bruh. Like I said, each line can be broken down into separate things, but I don't even think that that's necessary for that particular verse, because I feel like that entire verse basically described that one line from the beginning. I see the world through Fibonacci sequences and double Dutch. Bam, that whole verse. Why break it down when that says it all? I'm going to get back to the Freckled Angels part.
Another domino, it falls. Across the way another's born. How you're supposed to raise a child and give it courage from a storm. In a world that is confusing, contradictions pave our flaws. Some will say we're only human, others judge us for our flaws. Some get born in sheets of satin, some get by in tattered clothes. Some will die before they live, that's just how the story goes. But for those of us still with us, who reside inside our hearts, tell them proudly how you feel. And for those of us who aren't, freckled angels stand strong, freckled angels live on, freckled angels climb higher, freckled angels still inspire, freckled angels won't forget you, teach me to live my life better. 13 years and still I miss you, now my wings are missing feather, otherwise I'd come and join you. But for now I'm here on earth, stuck inside this mortal body, but for everything it's worth. Made me braver, made me wiser, made me stronger, made me true, made me face the world with courage, and that's all because of you.
So in that, is he saying the Freckled Angels, does Freckled Angels, now I know you guys have told me in the chat that he actually has a song called Freckled Angels. So maybe I need to wait until I hear that song. But I see that this is alluding to that song. And I'm wondering if the Freckled Angels, because you know they say in everybody's mind, whenever you see a picture of an angel, they're in all white. They're a beautiful, all white glowing, I'm saying, this, that, and other. And I wonder if the Freckled Angels represents an angel who has suffered, who has had trials and tribulations. The freckles come from the suffering, come from the adversity, the spots on their life. I wonder if that's what he means when he says the Freckled Angels are the strongest of them all. You know what I'm saying? Like the ones who have actually been through some stuff. Like those are the ones, and they even say that you can help people through your trials. So, angels are usually known for somebody who actually comes and, helps you and this, that, and other. And he's saying the ones who's actually been through some stuff, those are the ones that can help you the most. because they know what it's like. They can come through and I wonder if that's what this is all alluding to. And I want to break down each line on that one, but I'm trying to get a picture of where he's going, because this is all part of the story to me. So before I give my complete take, but I'm just like in my brain, I'm already seeing that that's what a freckled angel is. But I'm gonna wait until I hear the song, Freckled Angels.
Freckled angels laugh the hardest, and their hearts, they are the largest. With their wings, they fly the farthest. So I know you're gonna be okay. Freckled angels live the longest, and their minds, they are the strongest. Oh, their friends, they are the fondest. So I know you're gonna be okay.
All right, y'all. So what I realized, as much as y'all love me and as much as I love y'all and as much as y'all love Ren, there's a sadistic aspect to y'all too, because y'all like seeing me struggle. Because y'all keep recommending me to watch this shit that you know is gonna get to me. That's chapter 1. I have 7 more of these. And I also know now why it's going to be even more important for me to go ahead and have some fillers in there to kind of break up the monotony every couple of videos, so that way I don't get completely immersed, because y'all are going to wreck me. What are you doing? I love y'all. Alumni, y'all have my heart. But y'all are going to make me resign from this university. Just kidding. Never. Anyway, thank y'all for continuing to go on a journey with me. I am really enjoying this journey. I didn't enjoy listening to that story, but at the same time, I did, because I can see now, if that's chapter 1, by the end of these chapters, I'm going to have so much insight onto who Ren is. I liked watching the part of the video where they showed, prior to him becoming ill, what he was like as a youth, the playful, the this, that, and the other. But I also caught on to the fact that he said that when he got sick, that he became isolated and he lost his personality and all that kind of stuff, and to where it was a struggle for him to even have a conversation. All of those things I'm paying attention to. And to see how engaging he is to us, but also understanding that it's still really difficult for him probably to put himself out there like that. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I'm not going to go too deep right now, because like I said, I got 7 more chapters to watch. So by the time we get to the end of these, my mindset may completely have changed, and I may have different thoughts and stuff like that on what I thought that this was doing. But this one for Joe, it makes a lot of sense. And he's saying at that moment is when I grew up. That moment, my childhood was gone. The day that happened, I grew into the person that I am now. Kind of the mindset is, I feel like I let you down. I feel like I was late. I feel like I could have helped in that situation. And it's too late for that. But I feel like there are so many people in the world who may be in that same position as you were that night, Joe. And I'm not going to be late for them. I'm going to make sure that I'm there with them. You created a mission, a purpose for me. Prior to this, I had always felt like as a youth that I was built for something bigger than me. I just didn't know what it was. And I screamed into that room saying that I would defeat the forces of evil. But I didn't really know at that time what the purpose was. I just knew there was one. And then that night, through that tragedy, I now know what my purpose is. And I'm going to make sure that all the other people in the world who are going through things similar to what you went through, similar to what I'm going through, and similar to what so many others have gone through, I'm going to make sure that if I can be, I won't be late again. Bruh. All right. I'm going to end it here. Y'all already know I love you with all my heart. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Till the next one, class is over. Peace out.